Hello everyone, and welcome to this video, which is in our Crazy Leela series, our Leela Odd series. I'm Grandmaster Matthew Sadler, and we're taking a look at a few more tactics from Leela Knight Odds games. Starting with this one. So, it's always a bit of a shock to see that a knight on b1 is missing, and it's always even more of a shock to see, just how easily these attacks break through. Black here played the move. Black's got his pieces a little bit in a tangle here. You do notice it somehow, yeah, but the knight's on b6, the bishop's on c5, the knight on b8, can't go to c6, the bishop on c8 is blocked, the king's still in the center. Just somehow you look at white's position, it almost feels like white's got more pieces, even though he's a piece down. Here black played the move castle kingside. How did Leela proceed? Well, this one's for the classical fans out there. It's a Greek gift, bishop takes h7. A lot of these in Leela's game somehow. Yeah, I think humans get a little bit fooled somehow with with the knight being missing and don't really think how dangerous this is, even with a knight less. So king takes h7 and then knight g5 check. And, black's always got, the standard replies there. King g6, king h6, king g8. Actually, the nice thing is, of course, with an extra piece somehow, then actually the best move is to go queen takes g5 and give the queen up. And amazingly enough, you've got 3 pieces for the queen. Only, white's considerably better here because all of these pieces are so poor. But it would be possible to do it. There's one very good defensive move here for black. It's this lovely move, rook h8, intending king h8. However, after some other moves, things are not going well. King g8, we go queen h5, and then you should take on g5 now because otherwise queen h7 check is going to mate you. King g6 is the main line here. And there's a couple of good ideas here. Queen g4 is actually very strong indeed here. But Leela played something even nicer. Can you see what move Leela played? There's always a few different possibilities in these lines, things to do. And Queen g4 was one of them. Leela played the other one. Oops. So Leela played the move h4. And the idea is actually to play the pawn to h5 with check. The king goes to h6, and then I've got a knight takes f7, discovered check, forking the queen and the king at the same time. Very typical idea. Black played rook h8 to try and stop h5 check, but now queen d3 check. And, with the rook on h8, black's position is even worse there. And the game finished off quite nicely with some checks and a nice little mate there. And as so often with Leela's games, the material situation is pretty terrible. 2 pieces down, but then you look at the rest of you look at the black's pieces, and you see just the quality of the pieces is so low somehow. Just even here, just in 16 moves, Leela's just managed to to make some huge difference in the quality of piece development somehow. Really, really impressive somehow. Oh, this one's a very funny one. So black had not survived badly here. Still a piece up, a little bit blocked, but if you can get your knight to c5, you might have a b5 break at some stage. All you need to do really just eject that queen from f5. Just try and make sure it doesn't get in there, and you might have a chance of beating Leela. However, Leela played the move h4, and obviously very worried about this the attack on g5. So black decided to play the move queen f8 just to get rid of the queen, threatening the exchange of queens. So what did Leela play here? Well, Leela's response was pretty nice, really, and I do have to say that I've never quite seen anything like that. Leela played the move h5, so yeah, the rook is pinned on g6, so you're threatening to take it, so black has to take the queen. to break the pin. But then e takes f5, and we've got we've got 2 pawns forking 2 rooks. Yeah, never seen anything like that before. But of course, it's absolutely killing. White's gonna win 1 rook, and then just be the exchange up, and then have a nice open file to invade through. So that was the end of that. But very, very nice indeed, that one. This was a tragic situation. So same player actually, playing very long time controls against Leela, 30 plus 10. Well, you know, Black hasn't done too badly. I mean, White's a little bit better. I mean, you know, I think you look at the position, you sort of say, well, Leela's pieces look a lot better than Black's, really. Got the 2 bishops. These knights are sort of, you know, not looking anywhere in particular. This bishop is passive. But okay, you know, I mean, Black is a piece up, and there's no immediate danger. And Black decided to exchange off rooks and queens. So looking pretty good. Leela just just sort of tried to restrict the rook a little bit. Knight d7, so Black trying to move his knight round. I'm not quite sure where that knight's going. Maybe f8 into e6. White played bishop g3 and Black played rook g1. So what did Leela do here? Well, I've been sort of purposely misleading you, of course. In actual fact, the move before was Black's last chance for any sort of resistance, which was to take on e2. The problem is after rook g1, then bishop f2, rook c1, king b2, and the rook is trapped. It's got nowhere to go, can't even be sacrificed for anything except a pawn. So Black resigned, and that was kind of the problem. You know, Leela sort of just allowing this possibility of rook e1, knowing that after bishop e2, Black was going to have to give up the rook for the bishop. And, you know, the engines say that this should still be quite good for Black, but okay, you know, quite good for Black is normally more than enough for Leela to find a win somehow. Actually looks kind of awkward to me, so I'm not quite sure what the engines are talking about there. But another great little trap there from Leela. Always very impressed with games where, you know, Leela's not calculating much and, you know, really relying very heavily on the quality of its evaluation. Always very impressed when it just finds, you know, real good attacking moves here. So played the move queen h6 check, king g8. I mean, Black is a piece up still, and he's got a couple of pawns on top of that. But of course, you know, if you're looking again at quality of pieces, then you sort of say, ooh, you know, a lot of Black's pieces seem to be over on the queen side somehow, and a lot of White's power seems to be looking at the king side. But what did Leela play here? Yeah, this one's not too obvious, actually. Got to have a little think about this one. It looks like, you know, you sort of think maybe that rook g1 might help, but Black plays bishop f8, bishop g7, bishop g4, and then knight d6. And the key point is that knight's heading round to e8 to defend the bishop on g7, and of course bishop e6. F takes e6, the queen's defending the bishop on g7. Still good attacking chances for White, but it's not finished. But there's an incredibly violent, for me quite surprising line. It's rook takes f7. Wowsies, what is happening there? Well, if you take with the king, I give a rook f1 check here. And this is rather serious for Black because if you go try and escape round to e8, then I've got bishop b5 check, and then I follow up with queen h8 check. Your king just cannot run away. But bishop takes f7 looks a little bit better there. But then White plays the move rook g1, and Black's big problem is that we've got attacks from all sorts of angles somehow. Always said with Alpha Zero that, you know, you needed to combine attack along a file and attack along the diagonal, and that's how AlphaZero was always building up its attacks. And well, you can see what I mean with this, because rook d6 was played, rook takes g4, rook g6, and then we just take it off, give a check, and then bishop c4. And well, we've had all the attack along the g file, and then we've had the attack along this diagonal here. And there's just no way that you can stop this. It's quite amazing, actually, but there's just no way you can do it. I mean, you can try and do something like, for example, rook d6, rook g4. Notice that you're a rook and a piece down in this position. You can throw in bishop g5, but then we just do something similar. We do a little check there, and we do a check there. The big problem is that if you go round to f8, then I've got the move bishop takes c5 check. So queen c5, I've got queen f7. And when you go king e8, I go bishop b5 check. It's really lovely, yeah? Takes, and I think it's queen f6 here. I think it's just winning. Yeah, I mean, it's just really very, very powerful indeed for white here. You know, just incredibly difficult to deal with this. I think another way is bishop h6 check. Actually, come to think of it, and bishop b5 as well. And we've got something similar there as well. Knight e7, and then we take there. There's just too many ways, really, for white to come with along files and ranks and diagonals somehow. So really, really powerful. This is quite a nice example. So again, it's, you know, I'm talking about this a lot, really, but it's something, you know, that's really noticeable. You see a lot of players who, you know, seem to have resisted quite well to Leela. But somehow they haven't lost material, but somehow all of their pieces look absolutely appalling. And this is pretty much it, right? I mean, we've got those open files. We've got this bishop, which is horrible on an open file. Always terrible to have a piece unsupported by a pawn on an open file like that. And of course, this knight on h8 is not looking great. So, yeah, black played the move queen c7 to try and keep hold of the bishop on e7. And what did Leela play here? Yeah, it's not all mating attacks. This is what's quite important. You know, Leela just wins in a variety of ways, but bishop e5 is extremely strong here. The key point being queen c8, I just take on b8, and then the bishop on e7 is hanging, so queen takes b8 allows queen takes e7. And, well, with that knight on h8, I don't think you're going to be doing very much somehow. Just easy somehow, and yet, you know, all part of it, really. It's just, you know, in this position, you can just see it, really. You know, Leela just plays better, pushes the pieces virtually off the board, and then something drops. You know, another very typical scenario. Ah, this is a nice, simple mating attack. It looks something like a, it's, yeah, it was like some sort of French somehow, or wing gambit. I'm getting a lot of these when I play my Mariotti wing gambits in my bullet games. These sort of positions. Actually, it came from a 1b4 opening, bizarrely enough. But pretty simple, this one. White to smash through. I hope by now you've got the hang of this one. It's knight takes g6, king takes g6, and queen d3 check. Yeah, if you play king c1, I just give a check on the g file, and your king isn't going to last very long. And the key little point is, I'll just give you a couple of seconds, just in case you didn't get this far. White to play a mate in 2. Very important to notice these, check, and queen h7. And yeah, I mean, a lovely combination of pieces, pawns, and the opponent's pieces, just creating a very nice and very efficient mating pattern there. Lovely attack from Leela. Ah, yeah, this was a very interesting one. So sort of a Jabava London system that Leela plays a lot of. Very, very big score with this. Actually, I was quite impressed. A wonder when he played the match against Leela, he'd obviously done quite a bit of preparation, and he seemed to emerge, pretty much intact from the opening. Although there's something in the structure that's so solid that it's just very hard to break through somehow. But he did a very good job there. But a lot of players are really suffering. So bishop h6 played, and yeah, the amazing thing is that white's a knight down, but somehow his attack is just going like anything, and you don't really seem to miss the knight. So black decided to counterattack with takes and bishop takes a4, and basically black's just trying to hammer through on the queen side there. But this is quite a well-known scheme in actual fact, and Leela played a move that's very well known, not complicated, but important to be aware of in such positions. What did Leela play here? Leela's reply was the move queen h6. Yeah, the point is, if you take on f6 and go queen h6, then queen c7 is played, and after hg6, fg6, the queen is covering h7. So there's no reason to do that. You just play queen h6 first, and you just keep all of the possible advantages in your position. Of course, if you just retreat with the queen, I could take on f8 and take on a4, for example, and just win more material than if I take on f6 first. Black tried to hammer through with bishop takes b3. You might not have thought of this counterattack. So what did white play? It's kind of obvious. Played the move bishop takes f6 here, threatening mate on g7, which black somehow didn't quite spot and allowed. Of course, the obvious move is to play e takes f6, and then the standard way is h takes g6. And you've got a check, but nothing more. And queen takes h7 check is just going to be a win. Very typical, but human players obviously, having a lot of difficulty dealing with these, kind of pre-caveman attacks on the king side along the h file. Very, very typical with a knight less, and it doesn't seem to matter. Really, really quite interesting. This one was quite a sweet one somehow. You can tell from the arrows I got quite enthusiastic about this. The point is actually I think that it's really very, very nice how Leela's managed to get everything sort of pointing together and connecting together. All these crisscrosses, it just means shared pressure somehow. And there's one big threat here, which is to play the move rook takes c8 check, queen e8, and then queen takes g7. There's also the move bishop d5, pinning the queen. So black thought, well, why not play the move knight f6, remove the knight from the attack, and cover the d5 square? But was black right? Well, that was kind of a rhetorical question. White's got the lovely move knight bishop d5 here. So we're pinning the queen to the king. So knight takes d5, and now, just in case you hadn't seen it, just give you a couple of seconds extra. Yeah, there's rook e8 check. So we're not taking a knight this time, we're just sacrificing a rook, but just to distract the queen from f7, and then queen takes g7 checkmate. If you want an extra little bonus here, what was black's more or less only way of defending against the threats? The only way of doing that was to play the move king f8, which gets out of the move bishop d5, and also means you can meet rook takes c8 with king takes c8. I don't think that you would have been, I don't think much of your chances of holding this sort of thing against Leela, but the engines are giving it minus 2.72. So if you could tag team Torch into the game, then you would have a chance of winning. But I think for a human player, this is very scary. This does look very, very worrying, right? This was one of those things, often in these games, black seems to be doing sort of all right. White's just got a few vague threats maybe, and then a little something happens, and then it's all of a sudden it all collapses. And this is what happened in this game. Black's hasn't played amazingly from some sort of centre game position, But yeah, I mean, not so easy for white to advance stuff. You know, I mean, if you played f4, then bishop takes b3 could be possible, followed by queen takes c4 with check. You know, not bad at all that for black. So plenty. You know, white's still got quite a bit of work before he can really start advancing. But somehow black got a bit panicked. Played bishop g5 to stop f4, and then Leela just threw in h4. You know. Open up the H file, and well, this kind of panicked black. I mean, yeah, you know, something like bishop f6 would probably have been quite sensible, just to you know, at least try and exchange off the bishops if you're not going to do something else. I think I would have been looking to try and prepare d5, maybe go rook d8 and then d5, for example, or maybe even c5. I don't know, stop anything coming into d4. But yeah, black tried knight f4 as a sort of, you know, ha, look at me, I'm doing this tactically, but always a bad idea against Leela. How did Leela finish this off? It's fairly long, but it's all completely forcing, so should be able to find it. So yeah, it's hg5, knight e2, and then the line opening, rook takes h7 check. So pretty scary. King h7, queen h2 check. Obviously, black can't come to g6 because queen h5 check will mate. King g8, rook h1, knight takes c3, king a1. And, well, I mean, white's almost sacrifices entire set of pieces, but the mate on h8 or h7 is going to be rather costly. And indeed, if you go f6, which would be more or less the only reasonable move, then g6 stops the king from escaping, and we mate on h8. Lost count of the number of h-file mates I've seen from Leela. Nothing for black to do, so black resigned. And I think we're coming to our final one, which is actually a really nice one. So, yeah, again, black's kept a piece up, but things have not gone so well. Pieces retreated to the back rank, h-file opened, and there's a bishop on the a2 g8 diagonal, and yeah, there's also a queen that can check the king. All of these factors come together quite nicely. So how did Leela finish off the game here? Well, it starts with queen c3 check. If you didn't see the variation, I'll just give you a little extra moment to have a look. Rook h7 check, that was it. So the queen's pinned, so you've got to take back, and then I go rook h1 check. This is quite nice in actual fact. It's a very nice mate coming up. In the game, black played rook queen h6, and white just took and played g4, and it was just huge, right? g5 check, queen h6, queen h7. Oh, and knight takes c7 double checkmate was rather aesthetic. But the variation is even nicer, actually. How does black actually mate after king g8? So it goes knight e7 check, king f8, and then rook h8 check. And, well, obviously, king e7, queen g7 is fine, of course. But what is happening after queen takes h8? You can take on h8, of course, I know that, but there's something even better that I just hadn't spotted. It's actually that knight takes g6 check is made, and it looks so airy somehow, like black must have an escape. But yeah, the knight's attacking the king, the bishop's covering f7 and g8, the queen's covering g7, and the knight's also covering e7, and we've got the trusty rook blocking in the king on f8. So that's just an absolutely gorgeous mate from Leela. Just these incredible mates that I've never seen before. Just quite see so many of these sort of things in Leela's games. So there we are. That was knight odds. I think I've got another knight odds before I move on to rook odds there. So I hope you're enjoying these. I'm having a good time looking through them and finding this stuff. And yeah, I hope to see you at the next videos. Thanks for watching, everyone.